Hello, listeners. My name is Ian Outkirk, and I'm a training facilitator in management as well as customer relations. This podcast, which is part 3, section A of the supervisory management lesson, deals with the first two principles of management, that is, planning and organizing. The other two principles, directing and controlling, would be dealt with on the section B. Be sure to look at parts 1 and 2 of my other podcasts, which deal with making the change and developing the mentality of a supervisor, as well as the ins and outs of an organization. Let's start off part 3 by stating that there are four main principles in management. These are planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. Each one of these principles is important. However, the two with the greatest inputs in managing are planning and directing, for the simple reason that they cover wide areas. The principles can be applied for the startup of a new concern or used by an existing business when planning changes, whether they concern expansion, contraction, or just regular organizational improvement or streamlining. Let's start with the first principle of planning. There's an old saying that states, failure to plan is the plan for failure. I'm sure you know that. This is very true, for the simple reason that if no forethought is given for any changes to be done, and not anticipating problems that may be created due to the changes, or at the other end of the scale, not having the ability to devise that something can occur to disrupt normal operations. In planning, you have to take care of goal setting, whether it is human or economic, along with decision making, which would embody policies, procedures, and standards. There are certain advantages to planning, such as preventing potential pitfalls. When you plan, it is obvious that thought would be given not only to some sort of development or improvement that is going to be implemented, but if and when implemented, what disadvantages may occur with the next step being what could be done or not done to prevent any setback or pitfalls. Therefore, the planning process forces management to think in order that alternatives and solutions are generated. All of this enhances managerial commitment, creating a benchmark for measuring results. At this point, I would like to refer to the late Peter Drucker, whom I'm sure a great many of you out there would have heard about. He was a great management theorist, or management scientist, as I would like to call him. Mr. Drucker, in one of his famous books, talked about managing in a volatile environment. He also said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. In other words, fast forward your thoughts as to what could occur in relation to a particular plan of the moment, and through predictions, institute measures that would take care of problems which would happen, or at least have contingencies in place to deal with problems in case they arise. These problems can arise from areas that are job related, such as rising prices or suppliers' demands, or they can arise from areas that are world related, such as wars or pandemics. In other words, be focused and predict all outcomes and adjust all plans, whether they be short, medium, or long term, to take care of changes that may occur. I would like to end planning by mentioning two planning steps that should be taken to arrive at the correct plan for the way forward. The first step would be to align any plan with your company's objectives when deciding on the way forward. This is necessary for the simple reason that planning steps cannot be made in a vacuum, and the organization's objectives, along with its core values, will determine your plan of action. It may be necessary to look at alternatives to determine the best angles or route to be taken in your plan of action. The second step would be to develop the plan. Along the way, it may be necessary to make a change to your planning steps as your plan develops. There may be sudden rapid developments that would require adjustments to the plan, or for that matter setbacks that may require temporary descaling. At this point, it may be necessary to assess the core values of the company, as these may also need adjustments. Having arrived at a plan, it is time to look at the second principle, which deals with organizing. In organizing, one has to take into account resources which could be either human or economic. That is, persons or staff who carry out various functions within an organization. Or non-human, which refers to the various types of tools that are used by the persons who make up a particular organization. Both of these human or non-human areas under the principle of organizing would require allocation in a particular and precise manner. Under the human label of resources, personnel will have to be allocated to positions commensurate with their qualifications. The tool of job descriptions greatly assists in this area and can be used to determine initial positioning. Also, we would like to say that this could be an assist when staff must be transferred or promoted. Concerning the non-human label of resources, which refers to tools and machines that are used by the human resources, allocation also comes into play. Determination of quantity to be assigned to individuals and where preference would be given will have to be mapped. Before I move away from the principle of organizing, I would like to make some mention of two other areas that will fall under this principle. The first one is functionalism. This deals with the streamlining of operations. One should always ensure that members of staff who are performing a particular operation or function are grouped together and not scattered over a wide area. This allows for better time management, less stress, and better reporting techniques. Ideally, each duty or function should have their own areas of operation, resulting in separate functions between line management and staff. The other area under organizing that requires mention is decentralization, which needs to be given a thought as a number of factors leading to poor performance could occur when there is an overburden of work on one particular supervisor or manager. Similarly, when there is a need for diversification which can create extra work areas due to the increase of new products or services, expansion would be the order of the day to facilitate the extra workload. In my next podcast, I would like to be looking at the last two principles of management. And these would be directing and controlling. Do not miss that podcast. Also, be sure to send any comments on this and any other podcasts I have made in the past. Thank you.